big
Life,
discouragement
special,
to work in the benefits of
disability,
resulting from changes over the last 15 years. And we're
minister,
going to make the personal independence payment system financially sustainable so that it's there
welfare
for
benefit
the
cuts,
long term.
UK 25.
So, who will miss out
Thumbs up the right side screen.
under these new changes?
Down there, it's the 19th of March, Wednesday morning,
Those
guys,
who
2025.
will lose, and there will be people who will lose from the changes we announced, will be the less severely impaired people. The more severely impaired people who score more than 4 points on one of the daily living activities in personal independence payment, they won't be affected. Indeed, they will see some improvements. But the result of that change will be that this system will be in place to support hundreds of thousands of people who need it for the long term. If nothing was done, because of the rate at which the costs have rocketed over the last few years, then that would be at risk.
We can see, can't we, that the costs have rocketed over the last few years and are set to go up. But I'm just curious to know, who would you describe as less severely impaired? Could you give us an example of what sort of situations that might include?
Well, the personal independence payment, daily living, and by the way, the mobility element of personal independence payment isn't affected at all by this change, but the daily living element, there are 10 activities defined there. Each of them has a number of descriptors, and those descriptors typically have 2 points or 4 points attached to them. The 2-point ones tend to be ones where you can do something for yourself, perhaps with an appliance to help you. The 4-point ones are where you need somebody else's help. If you fall into the 4-point category, then you'll continue to have the benefit, as long as that for one of the 10 activities that continues to be the case. If you don't score 4 points on any of those 10 activities, then you won't in the future be eligible for the benefit. These changes won't start to take place until November next year, November 2026, and they would take effect from the first reassessment that you were due to have after that date, and it'll be on the basis of a proper, professionally conducted health assessment. And one thing we're talking about in the Green Paper is how to make sure those assessments reach the right conclusions.
And talking about those assessments that you were just mentioning there, for example, one of them is needing help getting in and out of a bath, being able to look after yourself in a fairly straightforward way, like make your own cup of tea, put the kettle on, that sort of thing, and those processes. But again, I'm just interested to know what type of situation or what type of diagnosis would it require for someone to lose this payment right now? For example, we've had various people email us in. For example, if somebody is diagnosed with, say, anxiety and is unable to go on public transport, would they still be able to have financial support for getting a taxi to work?
It's nothing to do with diagnosis. There's nothing in the system around a diagnosis. The question is, what effect does the impairment have on how you live your life? And I think all I could do is suggest that people look up the indicators that are used for personal independence payment, and you'll see there which counts
bullied
2 points,
or assaulted,
which counts for 4. And if on one of those activities, between all the descriptors that apply to you, you score more than 4 points, you're eligible for personal independence payment. If you only score 2 or fewer on all of them, then you won't be.
So with this saving, you're looking to save £5 billion. According to the Policy Director of the Centre for Social Justice, even that, Ed Davis says, this lacks vision and ambition. The Institute of Economic Affairs say that this will do nothing much to reform benefits or save significant amounts of money. Now, we know that it is a
Conservatives are right, you need to go further, mate. But you're not going to, are you?
Very substantial.
Not for a year or two.
The Conservative Party yesterday said there ought to be more cuts. What we want to make sure is that there is a financially sustainable system which will continue to be in place to support people.
What they're saying is these cuts are a waste of time. You want to make the cuts worth it, go further.
Personal independence payment. to be there.
Going too far on the cuts. They're just
the long
back-turning
term.
what they promised
We're
to
going
do, Labour.
Look at the indicators. We're going to have a proper look at them together with disabled people and their organisations.
Why don't you transfer the private money towards that from the Heathrow expansion? Scrap the Heathrow expansion and Gatwick Airport expansion.
We've now made the system sustainable and we're committed to maintaining it.
You say it is a significant saving, it's a huge amount of money, but it is in fact less than a fifth of the predicted rise in costs. Are you going to have to come back for more?
Well, if you look at personal independence payment, the year before the pandemic, it cost the government £12 billion. This year is costing £22 billion, and if things carried on, it would be well over £30 billion in 5 years' time. So scaling that back, and we'll set out the exact figures at the spring statement next week, will have a big and positive impact in ensuring that this system is in place to support hundreds of thousands of people who depend on it for many, many years to come.
And that overall budget is continuing to rise, so will you come back for more?
But the population keeps building up.
We're going to be focusing on delivering the big plan that we set out yesterday. It will require legislation that we'll be bringing forward and consultation as well. That's what we're going to be focusing on for some considerable time into the future.
How hard is it for you as a Labour minister and your colleagues to know that in some situations you will be taking money away from people?
It's very important for us that we have a sustainable system that people can have confidence in, that they will be able to depend on it for years and years to come. That's the advantage, the very big gain that we're delivering with this package that we announced yesterday, and I'm very confident in advocating and arguing for it in the House of Commons over the next few weeks, that we've made changes that are right.
So Stephen Timms, thank you.
Thank you.
As Minister, that's Westminster.
Will be with us a little bit later to explain in more detail what these changes might mean. And he was pointing out there's a really good section on the BBC News website today which goes through the information.
There you go. I hope you like this video. Please subscribe to the channel on Simon Gems. Put a thumbs up at the right side of the screen, please. Very interesting minister to talk to about it, but at the end of the day, there are other places where the money is, and like I said to you, Heathrow expansion, Gatwick expansion, private money could be used for that. So there's no way that they're thinking straight as politicians, in my opinion. Please squash on Simon Gems as usual.